After the great battle of the Nephites against Zarahemna's armies, everybody returned home, and they all went home to recover. And of course, Moroni is recuperating, and everybody's recuperating. So obviously, the Nephites had suffered tremendous losses. And but not only that, but King Mosiah's passing had left many Nephites who did not like the new system of government, or the priests and teachers who had been appointed in the church. Consequently, dissensions arose. Enter Amalickiah. Now, Amalickiah was a very shrewd and conniving. He was very clever. He wasn't a one-dimensional person like Zarahemna was. He was a very clever and devious person. He was smart, and he wanted to be king. He wanted to be in charge. Now, Amalickiah was a Nephite dissenter. I don't know if I just said that or not, but he was a Nephite dissenter. He was very angry, and he wanted to rally as many Nephites, especially the dissenters, to his cause, to put him in charge. And he did so through a lot of flattery. So, yeah, Captain Moroni, he had returned home from his bloody battle against Zarahemna. And so, while he's recuperating, he hears about Amalickiah. And so you can just imagine how exasperated he felt. He couldn't even catch his breath when he had to go out and take care of another uprising. And so we read about this. We are now in Alma chapter 46. In verses 11 and 12 we read, "And now it came to pass that when Moroni, who was the chief commander of the armies of the Nephites, had heard of these dissensions, he was angry with Amalickiah, and it came to pass that he rent his coat." Now this rending of coat is an old Hebrew custom, kriah. It's pronounced kriah. It's Kriah, and it's Hebrew for tearing. And it's a tearing of the external garment, and it's an outward sign of grief. So this is what Captain Moroni is experiencing. He's experiencing grief for his people, not only for his loss, but now he has to go to war and do it all over again. So he rent his coat, and he took a piece thereof, and he wrote upon it, "In memory of our God, our religion, and freedom, and our peace, our wives and our children," and he fastened it upon the end of a pole. And so Captain Moroni does this, and he goes out to battle again for the cause of Christians. And we specifically read about this in verse 16, and you can read that on your own. "So with his new title of liberty, a great number of people came running together to rally around Captain Moroni in support of their newly established government, and to prevent Amalickiah and his supporters from succeeding with their coup." So when Amalickiah saw that the people who rallied around Captain Moroni exceeded the number of his fellow dissenters, he immediately took his armies and headed into the wilderness to join the Lamanites, and to incite them to war against the Nephites. Now Captain Moroni and his men pursued Amalickiah and his men, and managed to capture them, except for a small number who had escaped. Captain Moroni then returned to his capital city of Zarahemla with the captured men, and made the same offer to them that he had previously offered Zarahemna and his Lamanite army. But only a few of them rejected his offer to enter into a covenant of freedom. So, and we read about that in Alma chapter 46, verse 35. They did not want to support the cause of freedom. They wanted to have a king. And of course, Amalickiah flattering these people with promises of who knows what, power, money, wealth, whatever. So because of their treason, in a time of war, Captain Moroni put them to death. So meanwhile, Amalickiah went over to the Lamanites, and he stirred them up to anger, to the point that their king sent a proclamation throughout his kingdom among all his people that they should all gather themselves together again to go to battle against the Nephites. And many of the Nephites were afraid to go. They didn't want to go. And many of these are probably, they were probably already recovering from previous wars against the Nephites under Zarahemna. And they probably didn't want to go back out. They were done. So, of course, we never heard from Zarahemna again. But the Lamanite king, he was furious because of their disobedience. So he gave Amalickiah command over all those Lamanites who were still obedient to him. And so he commanded him to go and compel them to arms. So now he's giving Amalickiah power to lead the armies. And in verse 4 of Alma 47, we're now in chapter 47, we read, "Now behold, this was the desire of Amalickiah, for he, being a very subtle man to do evil, therefore he laid the plan in his heart to dethrone the king of the Lamanites." So this is where we start to see his deviousness, his cleverness, his subtlety, his shrewdness. So now he's the commander of all the Lamanite armies. And so Amalickiah was made commander of one army, and he went after the Lamanites who fled. There was another group of Lamanites who fled to a hill called Onidah, and now Amalickiah, he wanted to go and take control of them as well. To be continued.